Hi there, friends of the interwebs. I've just sent out the last of the Scion wood parcels, including one to Germany and another to Sweden. And that will be it for this year. Just look at the, you all know what this is, it's cleft graft. Interestingly that these would have been quite equal. One of them's taken up much better than the other and that one's not done so well. I'll probably snip that out. On the other hand, that's going quite well, I'll probably leave that. Yeah, this being the tree behind me is the huge old Arthur Turner apple tree, which I grafted over 2 years ago to, what was it last year? I can't remember now. To Queen Cox. I always like to show a few graftings which have taken just to prove that it does actually work and it's not just a joke. Right, some of you I know have already received your wood, the rest of you should be receiving your wood over the next few days. So I've just posted the very last lot that's going, so I would hope any wood should arrive by the beginning of next week. I do intend, if I am spared, if I am well, to send Scion wood out next year. This year it's been a bit clipped. I have said please don't order any unless you really want it this year, because I've been indisposed following a bad injury and I've got a lot of other things to do. Next year I'm hoping to be a lot better, and you know, as I was saying in the last video, it really means a lot to Julia and I that this wood is going out and perhaps people are establishing new orchards, and when we are no longer able to do this, or for whatever reason, I've just spotted a bird's nest. Oh, I didn't know that was there. Yeah, bird's nest in a hedge. We get a lot of bird song all year round here in southern Hampshire. It's a very warm place, rather too wet this year though. Anyway, when you receive your wood, you can do whatever you like with it, but I would recommend, first of all, do not graft yet. I have been, for some years, I've been cutting the wood in deep winter dormancy, typically middle of February, storing it cool and wet, cool and moist, and then grafting when I see the shoots beginning to come, typically about the second week of April. I think you're more likely to run into trouble grafting too early than too late. People do bench graft, people do buy in graft material and buy in bundles of rootstocks and graft them sitting at a bench and then plant them out later. I'm not saying you can't do it, I'm just saying I don't do it, that's all. As ever, I only venture to say what I've actually done, rather than to give absolutely authoritative advice. You know, but that's one reason I do like to show successful grafts which have taken, just to prove that at least to this extent I do know what I'm talking about. I do actually graft wood and somehow seem to achieve success, which I think is by following straightforward, simple techniques like the cleft graft and the saddle graft, and doing so in a consistent manner. Okay, so what I'd recommend that you do with your wood, you can put it straight in the fridge in the envelope it arrives in. Probably you'll want to get it out and look at it. If you do, by all means give it a bit of a wash with warm soapy water. Be careful not to damage it if you brush it, but as I said, we've had so much rain for so long, it's been so wet. With a lot of the wood did have a bit of algae in it, which I think is harmless, but if you wanted to wash it all off with hot soapy water, and of course do wash any, make sure you don't get any of the Vaseline. I did use a bit of Vaseline to seal the ends of the wood to prevent evaporation, because I've got no control over the temperature the wood is stored at. It's all gone first class, but there's no point me saying, hey, could you make sure the wood is all stored somewhere cool, because that isn't going to be guaranteed, but you know, it does seem to succeed most of the time. So by all means get it out and have a look at it, but if you do, make sure to not to mix up the labelling, but if you want, you can just stick it in the fridge and then get it out and graft it in April. Please, if you haven't done this before, get some practice, get some wood, apple prunings. It could be any wood, it could be willow or hazel, and you get your sharp little knife. As people know, I love the Opinel number 6, but any small sharp knife with a thin blade is good. I like to sterilise the blade with methylated spirits and obviously let it dry, because you don't want to get alcohol in contact with the Scion material, the grafting, and practice until you can get absolutely perfect or nearly perfect live wood to live wood, because the secret of success I have found with grafting, I've proved it by actually succeeding, is cut the Scion wood in deep winter dormancy, store it moist and cool, graft it in April when the wood is beginning to move. If you think that through, you can see the logic of it, because the critical thing is getting a union. You cannot get a union until the wood is in an actively growing phase, and that ain't going to happen until the beginning of the spring. It's sort of early spring here in southern Hampshire, but in North Yorkshire, for example, or Sweden or Croatia, where I've sent wood, I don't know if it will be early spring there. But anyway, if you do what I do, then you do it carefully enough, hopefully you'll get the sort of results I've got, which on this tree I grafted over last year, I was in the region of 95% success. Okay, right, signing off then, all the best. I'm off to Jersey tomorrow to do some teaching, skin cancer diagnosis.